Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Welcome to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, how's it going? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I thought that I would talk about something that I think we all tend to neglect, and it is something that is so vital for our overall well-being, but because of life, we tend to sometimes put this down on our priority list. We tend to neglect it when really we should have it as a top priority, and I am guilty of this as well. And if you have any guesses, if you guessed sleep, that is right. I want to talk to you today about sleeping. It is so important for our overall health, and it is just something that I think we don't, at least a lot of us don't, kind of cherish enough. And I'm guilty of it too. I tend to, put other things before sleep, and sleep is so important for our health. It's so important for everything about us, for our mental state, our physical state, our bodies, minds, everything. It is so crucial to living that happy life is having a good sleep. And a lot of people, we all struggle with sleep sometimes. And, whether it's falling asleep or staying asleep or just getting into a deep sleep, people can struggle for so many different kind of reasons around it. But it's so important. It's just as important as regular exercise and having a healthy diet that's balanced with all our nutrients. Sleep is just as important. And for some reason I feel we focus on okay, I gotta get up and I gotta go to the gym, or I gotta make sure I'm eating a well-balanced diet. But a lot of the time we're not I gotta make sure I'm sleeping the right amount of hours. And it's just something that we kind of push aside and we take for granted. I'm the type of person where, if I get too much sleep, I'm really, really groggy. If I don't get enough sleep, I'm really, really grumpy. So I really do need to find a perfect amount of sleep. But I've been really trying to change my schedule and become a morning person, which means I need to go to bed earlier, which means I need to kind of adjust my nighttime routine, which is hard for me too because I've always been a night owl. But now I'm trying to kind of rotate everything and try to become a morning person because I find that if I get a well-rested sleep and I can wake up at 5 in the morning and start my day, that is the key for me to have a good day. If I wake up early and feel rested because I went to bed at a good time, that is just so crucial for me. I wake up, I feel so good, I start my day, I'm so productive, and then I actually have time to relax at night because I'm up so early, or at least most of the time, sometimes I guess. But before, sleep was something I really took for granted. I was always up late at night, and I had to be up early in the morning for work or school or whatever the case may be. And so I was grumpy a lot, or I was really overtired all the time. And, when you're really overtired, you're not thinking properly. Your body is impacted differently. Bad sleep is highly linked to weight gain. People that are sleep deprived often eat more calories during the day too because it interrupts your appetite hormones, and we don't realize that, but it's so true. When you're just so overtired, you just want to eat carbs and sugar and chocolate and all those things that we're said to stay away from, right? Well, to a certain extent. And I think it's so true. When I'm really tired, I overeat. And I don't know if it's just because I'm lazy and I'm bored in a sense because I'm too tired to do anything, but I'm bored anyways, and so you just kind of eat. But it's not even just that you like eat more when you're tired. It really is linked to like gaining weight and putting that like harsh impact on your body and like your mind. You do not think properly when you don't get a good sleep. You know, when you kind of wake up and you feel groggy and like, you know, you're just kind of not in it because you're just so tired. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs rest. Sleep is essential. It's so important to our bodies, as, you know, it's the same as eating and drinking and breathing. Literally, sleep is so vital for maintaining that good mental and physical health. You know, sleep helps us to recover from mental as well as physical exertion. Like, it does wonders for everything about us, and we tend to just kind of push it aside, or we put it so like secondary sometimes down our priority list. It's like, oh, I got too many things to do. I'll sleep later. Like, and that's always been my excuse. Like, I'm too busy. Like, I need to stay up late and get this done, or I need to wake up super early and get this done, or, you know, or you go out and you're socializing and you kind of forget about sleep. You like lose track of time, and then you get home really late, and then you have to, you know, and if you have to be up early, like that's just cutting all your sleep time. But when we go to bed at night, when we fall asleep, that is when our body repairs. It's when we kind of get to refocus. We get to kind of just restart everything. Our mind is, you know, gets to restart. We get to not overthink so much. We get to kind of declutter our mind by just sleeping. And we just take advantage of that. Sleep and mental health is huge. They're very, very closely connected, because if you're not getting enough sleep, you know, you're not processing things properly in your mind. But it's funny because they're so closely linked. It's like if you don't get enough sleep, you know, your mental state might not be great, but because your mental state's not great, then you might not be getting enough sleep. And like, it kind of goes back and forth. When you have depression, when you're anxious, any kind of like mental illness, sometimes it really, really affects your sleep patterns. But then it's so funny because when you don't get enough sleep, then you can fall into depression, and you can have more anxiety, and you can have more mental illnesses. And so it goes both ways. And that's why like they're so closely linked. You know, sleep deprivation affects your psychological state and your mental health. Those that already have mental health problems are more likely to have insomnia or just other sleep disorders in general, right? Because it affects all of your psychological state. It affects the chemicals in your head. It affects everything going on. And so there's different types of sleep, which I'm sure you've talked about. You know, there's like your quiet sleep, your REM sleep, and I'm going to jump into those a little bit. During your quiet sleep, this is when you are progressing through 4 stages, basically, of increasingly deep sleep. This is kind of like steps into this deep sleep. You know, your body temperature drops, your muscles relax, your heart rate and your breathing slows down. The deepest stage of quiet sleep actually produces the psychological changes that help boost your immune system function. You know, when you're sick, it's like just rest, sleep, 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 sleep. It's because your immune system needs to be repaired. It needs to be functioning properly. And the best way to do that is to rest everything. And like, it's so true. When we feel sick, all we want to do is lay in bed. We have no energy, and we tend, you know, if you get like a good like 12 hours sleep, you wake up usually feeling better because you're letting your body take the time to rebuild, restore, try to boost that immune system again, get it back up to functioning to its full potential, right? So there's that. There's like your quiet sleep, and then there's REM sleep, your rapid eye movement sleep. And I think we've all kind of heard of this, but it's the period, you know, when people are dreaming. This is when you dream. So your body temperature, your blood pressure, your heart rate, your breathing increase to levels kind of measured when you're awake. So studies have reported that REM sleep enhances your learning and your memory and contributes to emotional health, kind of more in like complex ways. I'm going to jump a little bit into that, but it's a little bit complex, but your REM sleep is important. So scientists are still trying to kind of tease apart, you know, all the mechanisms of REM sleep and the different stages that you go through. There is so much information about it, but they're still constantly trying to discover more things. But they have discovered that sleep disruption, you know, which this directly affects your neurotransmitters. It affects your stress hormones. Of course, of just other things. Like I said, you're not resting properly. You're not restoring properly. And this is putting a lot of pressure on your brain. It's impairing your thinking and your just emotional stableness, I guess, like your stability. Like, you're not, if you get enough sleep, if you fall into the right stages of sleep, your emotional, like, capacity is just going to be better. You're going to be able to handle situations better. Insomnia, right? We've all heard of insomnia. You just cannot sleep. And insomnia really amplifies the effects of these psychiatric disorders, and it goes vice versa, right? Like, your psychiatric disorders can also, cause insomnia, like I said. Like, it goes both ways. Sleep is constantly influencing our behaviors. When you're tired, you're more likely to skip activities that are going to support your well-being. The things, we all know that we need to eat a well-balanced diet. We need to do self-care. We need to exercise. We need to take care of ourselves. But when we're tired, when we're not sleeping properly, this is going to be influencing these behaviors, and we're not going to have the energy to do the things that we need to do to keep boosting our overall health, So, anyways, I have so much information to share with you, but it is time for a little bit of a break. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to talk more about how sleep and mental health correlate so strongly. I'm also going to jump into some just specific things that you can do to improve your sleep, to get a better night's rest, so you can improve your overall health and your happiness. Stay tuned.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. Alright, so we're talking all about something that is so vital for our overall health, and that is sleep. It is something that we often neglect, like I've said, but obviously sleep impacts our mood. It affects the way we think. If we don't get enough sleep, it's really hard to concentrate. Our minds, can kind of wander off, and sleep is just so crucial to so many different aspects in our life. So I do have some tips for you about getting better sleep, but first I thought I would talk about kind of the 4 stages of sleep, just so you get a better understanding of, the kind of stage that we need to get into to have that great sleep. So there's 4 stages of sleep that we kind of basically cycle throughout the night, and we cycle through it multiple different times. So we have NREM sleep, and we have stages of NREM sleep 3 times, and then we have REM sleep once. So you get basically lighter sleep to deeper sleep. Obviously, it makes sense, right? So stage 1, this is an NREM sleep, and it's when your body starts to relax, you become drowsy. This is kind of when you first start feeling really tired and starting to kind of drift off. You're just kind of slow, you have kind of rolling eye movements. You can easily be awakened in this stage as well, right? Because it's very, very light sleep. You're just kind of dozing off. But at this time, your brainwave activity begins to slow down. So the theta brainwaves, as the body drifts into sleep, these theta brainwaves come up. Some people may experience, sudden jerks. If you kind of wake yourself up from like a flinch or something like that, you might just be in stage 1 of sleep. Just so light. You can kind of, like a muscle spasm or something, can happen in this phase, or you can have the sensation of falling. So if you kind of just all of a sudden kind of jerk up or something like that, you might be in just stage 1 of your sleeping. If you're woken up at this time, you're more likely that you won't fall asleep again at all. So stage 1 kind of lasts about 10 minutes. So often if you are in stage 1 and you get woken up, a lot of the times it doesn't even feel like you were asleep. This stage usually only lasts about 10 minutes, and this is just that kind of very, very beginning of your sleep cycle. So if you do get woken up, sometimes, you really just don't feel like you were even asleep at all. It's like the lightest sleep. That's stage 1. And now stage 2, this is when you're actually officially asleep. So your slow moving eye rolls will typically stop, your body temperature is going to drop, and your heartbeat's going to slow down. Sounds scary, doesn't it? But your brain waves will continue to slow as you drift into deeper and deeper sleep. But during this phase, you can also have bursts of rapid activity, and this is known as sleep spindles. So after a spindle occurs, the brainwaves slow down again. So you can almost have this like rapid effect while you're sleeping. So typically stage 2 makes up about 40 to 60% of your sleep time. So it is a good majority of your sleep is about stage 2. So you're officially asleep. It's not super deep of a sleep. You're not really restoring anything, but you are kind of, you're asleep. You're resting. So that's stage 2. And then stage 3, so this is more of the restorative stage, so it doesn't last as long as stage 2. It only makes about 5 to 15% of your total sleep time for most adults, but it depends on the person, right? So children and teenagers sleep longer in this stage. So this is a deeper sleep. A person's brainwave will slow down, so it's going to become a delta wave as the body kind of prepares itself for the deepest sleep, which is a REM sleep. So during this time, your body is strengthening its immune system, it's repairing, it's regrowing tissues, it's building bone and muscle. This is also when you could potentially be sleepwalking or sleep talking, or you can have night terrors happen. So that all happens in stage 3. In stage 3, it's much harder for your body to wake up. If you do wake up from it, you often kind of feel disoriented at first. You kind of wake up and you're like, you kind of don't know where you are. You might be in stage 3 of your sleep. But your body is producing more delta waves in this stage, and so it's drifting closer to REM sleep the more delta waves that it is producing. So stage 3, it's only 5 to 15%, but it is super crucial to your night cycle, and this is basically one of the stages. Stage 3 and stage 4 are the most important stages of your sleep, and it's because it's actually is restoring everything, right? Your body's strength, its immune system, it's repairing and regrowing your tissues, it's building bone and muscle, Like, this is a really crucial time, and it's weird because it's only 5 to 15% of your total sleep. So getting into stage 3 and stage 4 is so crucial, but they're short periods of time. So this leads me into stage 4, which is the REM sleep, which I'm sure we've all heard about. This is your deepest sleep. This is where you experience the most vivid dreams. Your first phase of REM sleep is typically shorter, because like I said, you go through these cycles a few times during the night. So the first time that you fall into REM sleep, it's shorter. It begins about 90 minutes, they say, after you fall asleep, and it only happens for about 10 minutes. So throughout the night, you experience periods of REM sleep as you complete more cycles, right? And so it starts about 10 minutes, and it can end with about 70 to 100 minutes of REM sleep, depending on the person. So on average, you have about 5 or 6 REM cycles in one sleeping period. Course. Obviously, it depends how long you're sleeping for, how well you're sleeping, if you are getting into that REM sleep, quickly or not quickly. But your brain is becoming very active. You can have eye jerks quickly in kind of different directions. Your blood pressure and heart rate increase, and your breathing can come irregular. So your arm and leg muscles can also kind of feel paralyzed so that you don't act out in your dreams. This is when you have those when you wake up and the most vivid dreams ever, and you're like, what just happened? That felt so real. So that's when you're in your REM sleep. REM sleep also helps the brain consolidate and process information from the previous day. It also helps your brain kind of store the information and put it in your long-term memory. So because of this, as you get older, you spend less time in REM sleep. This kind of affects your memory and everything as well. But like I said, stage 3 and stage 4 are so important. They're different, but they're equally important, because stage 3, you're kind of restoring everything. You're basically restoring your entire body. And stage 4 is really crucial for your brain. You're processing all the information from the previous day. You're putting things into your long-term memory. This is crucial for your brain. And yeah, stage 3 and stage 4, you don't stay in very long for a certain period of time, but you do go through all these stages about 5 to 6 times a night. So stage 3 and stage 4, they're considered the deep sleep. So this is important for your growth, your hormone regulation, like I've been talking about, just like your physical renewal. And then your brain sleep, your brain is processing your memories, your emotions. So REM sleep's really, really for your brain. You're going to have a higher level of learning and thoughts with your REM sleep. So studies have said that the typical American adult should have about 1.6 to 2.25 hours of deep sleep per night, which to me doesn't seem like a very long time, right? But it's important. This is about 20 to 25% of your sleep is really, really important for your brain health. So you need to be falling into those deep sleeps so that you're restoring your body, your brain is going to be functioning better. Younger kids, though, need more sleep because obviously they're still growing and developing, and, things are a little bit different than when you're an adult. Your glucose metabolism in the brain increases during your deep sleep as well, so that's supporting your short-term and long-term memory and just your overall learning. If you can get a good night's sleep, your learning is going to be so much better. You're going to be retaining so much more information. Deep sleep is also kind of when your human growth hormone, your leading to growth and your development of your body is really happening. So that's why, too, when you're younger, when you're a kid, you need more of that deep sleep because you're developing, you're growing still. But just other really main benefits of having that good deep sleep every single night is your energy restoration. You are just going to have so much more energy, of course, because you don't feel exhausted. Your cells are also kind of being repaired as well. You're increasing blood supply to your muscles. You're promoting growth and repairing of your tissues and bones. And then you're strengthening that immune system. Once again, when you're sick, all we do is rest, right? That's all we feel like we need to do. That's all we do need to do. We need to rest because we need to strengthen that immune system. We need to restore our body, get all of our hormones and everything back on track. So that's why this deep sleep is so, so important. But it's only for short periods of time every single night. So we have to make sure that we are able to fall asleep and to get our enough cycles into that deep sleep so that we're going to be waking up and living life to the fullest, not tired, not drained or exhausted, just waking up and being able to do what we need to do. Okay, it's time for another break. Don't go anywhere. When we get back, I'm going to talk to you about some tips on how to get a better night's sleep, so you can fall into that deep sleep. You can have all the benefits of having that deep sleep and being well rested. So stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
GSMC, America Still Beautiful podcast. Welcome back. Okay, So if you are still here, you want to know how to get a better night's sleep. We all want to know how to get a better night's sleep, and some nights, we can get great sleeps. Other nights, not so much. And I think it totally depends on the person. We all have different sleeping patterns. Our bodies kind of always handle it a little bit differently. It's funny, I was actually talking to my dad just last night, and we're talking about waking up before your alarm. He says that he has never, ever woken up by his alarm. His body automatically wakes up about 10 minutes before, which is crazy. Me personally, I sleep through my alarms, and I'll turn off my alarms in my sleep. So I have to make sure that I set alarms kind of before I actually want to wake up, because I know that I'll at least turn off 2 in my sleep, which is a terrible habit that I need to break. But it's weird how, we're kind of all different. And I think that all depends on our sleep cycles and how well we are resting during the night. He also told me that he's basically able to fall asleep anywhere and everywhere. If he can lay down, he can fall asleep. Me, not so much. It takes me a while usually to be able to fall asleep. But everybody's different, whether you can fall asleep right away, whether you can fall asleep into that deep REM sleep quicker than others, who knows, right? But falling asleep and getting a good night's sleep is just so crucial to our health. So I'm going to talk to you, just give you some tips on how to get a better night's sleep. Some of these seem obvious, but I think we kind of forget of the simple things that we do need to do. So during the day, just increase your bright light exposure. Your body has a natural timekeeping clock, right, for when you're sleeping and when everything is processing. So it affects your brain, it affects your body, your hormones. So when you're exposed to the light, it's helping you stay awake. It's telling your body it's time to stay awake. And then later on, when it gets dark, it's telling your body to go to bed. Of course, we don't like sleeping with a bunch of sunlight out. It's more difficult to fall asleep. So the natural sunlight or the bright light during the day, it helps keep that your body's clock healthy and normal and running on a cycle. So this is going to improve your daytime energy, and then it's going to help your nighttime sleep quality and your duration of sleep as well. People with insomnia, daytime bright light exposure improves sleep quality and duration. And it also reduced the time it took to fall asleep by 83%. So get outside, get as much exposure as you can to the light. Of course, it's going to also improve your mood, but it's going to help you sleep better at night. There was another study in older adults that found that 2 hours of bright light exposure during the day increased the amount of sleep by 2 hours and sleep efficiency by 80%. But it's also kind of different for everybody. But most of the research involves that people with really bad sleep issues, daily light exposure, so simple, will most likely help you experience a better night's sleep. So try getting outside, getting some daily sunlight exposure. Or you can always invest in an artificial bright light. I've talked to you about the lights that you can get in your room that really help with like seasonal depression and stuff like that. So those also work as well if you're not able to get outside, or maybe you live somewhere that's kind of more gloomy in weather. But more light exposure during the day helps you fall asleep at night. And number 2 is going to be reduce your blue light exposure in the evening. So this means sitting on your laptop, sitting on your phone. I think we've all kind of heard this before, where it's like, okay, like don't be on your phone in bed because it's going to make you stay up, but it really, really does. I actually got some blue light glasses that have really helped me, that I know that if I need to work later at night staring at my computer, I can put these I can put these blue light glasses on, and it stops that blue light from coming into my eyes, basically. It helps protect it, and I find that I do fall asleep a lot better afterwards than if I don't use them while I'm on my computer in the evening. So you can always get blue light glasses, but this is all due to the impact of your body clock as well. So it's basically tricking your brain to thinking that it's still daytime by being exposed to this light. So this reduces your hormones like the melatonin that help you relax and get a deep sleep. So try glasses, or just try putting your phone away, putting your laptop, don't watch TV, put all that stuff away and, read a book. That's going to help you fall asleep way quicker. This is an obvious one, but also don't consume caffeine late in the day. There is a study that, says consuming caffeine up to 6 hours before bed significantly worsened sleep quality. We all need that coffee in the morning, and I am a sucker for an afternoon coffee, but it's true. Caffeine makes you stay up. That is just a well-known fact. So try not to be drinking large amounts of coffee kind of after 3 to 4 p.m. Of course, if you have to work nights, then you have to work nights. Then maybe you have like a 9 p.m. coffee. I don't know. But stay away from caffeine if you want to be falling asleep at a decent time. Also, reduce your daytime naps. This is a huge thing. I think short naps are super beneficial. Like a little 20-minute power nap can really, really help you keep going with your day. But if you are the type of person that has a habit of napping for like an hour and a half to 2 hours in the afternoon, first of all, lucky you that you have that time. But of course, this is going to disrupt your sleeping at night. So try to stay away from those afternoon naps because it's confusing your internal clock. Sometimes you feel really sleepy during the day, so you take that nap, but it's actually more beneficial to have shorter periods of nap. Have a 20-minute nap, have a 30-minute nap, or even less. Even like a 10-minute rest can really improve, the rest of your day, but still make sure that you're not confusing your internal body clock too much, and you'll still be able to fall asleep at night. This one I find is very, very, very important, and that's sleeping and waking up at consistent times. I have to wake up super, super early during the week, and I've been finding myself that I'm forcing myself to get out of bed a little bit later on the weekends, but still I'm not sleeping. Like I wake up about 4:35 a.m. during the week, and so on the weekends I don't really let myself sleep anywhere past 7. Like that is like my sleep in because it's a couple hours after I would normally sleep, so it feels like a sleep in, and I guess now that I've gotten to that regular routine. But if I slept until like 11 p.m. If I slept until like 11 a.m., I might feel more groggy and stuff because that's like messing up my internal clock. So try to wake up and sleep at consistent times. We all want to sleep in on a Sunday, but try to not go too much further off of your regular schedule, because you're going to kind of feel groggy and you're going to be confusing your clock. So help your body's clock work properly by being set on a loop. It's going to give you way more energy. If you're really having a hard time with sleep, consider some supplements. There's always melatonin that you can take. But of course, you don't want to get kind of reliant on those supplements. So just be careful with that. But if you need to sometimes take a supplement like melatonin, I'm guilty of that once in a while. It's like I just need a good sleep, but I am like wide awake. Take a melatonin and it's just going to help you fall into that sleep. Don't drink alcohol because it interrupts your sleep and your hormones. So it's also going to alter your nighttime melatonin production as well. So it's going to not help you drink. If you ever have a night out and you're drinking and you kind of wake up and you always feel tired, and it's not just because of your hangover, it's because that drinking is stopping you from actually falling into your deep sleep that you need to. So avoid the alcohol. Optimize your environment. Temperature is a huge thing. I think most people like sleeping when it's colder, but optimize your environment. Make sure your noise is good, like that there's no noise in the house, or if you need a white noise or you need something to kind of sleep to, maybe do that. Even like your furniture arrangement, make sure you're comfortable, make sure your bed is comfortable. Then once again, these are all kind of obvious things that we kind of need to make sure of, but they really do help. Like, optimize your environment as much as you can. Make sure it's dark in your room. Make sure the temperature is right. It's not too noisy. Just set yourself up for a good night's sleep, right? Don't eat late in the evening as well, because this can negatively affect your sleep quality and your natural release of HGH and your melatonin. So the quality and type of your late night snack can also play a role in this. So if you are one that wants a late night snack, it kind of depends on what you're eating. If you have a high carb meal, like about 4 hours before bed, that can actually help you fall asleep faster, which is very interesting. In one study, they discovered that a low carb diet also improves sleep. So carbs aren't always necessary, but if you are used to a low carb diet, that's good. Don't eat too much carbs before bed, but it's also saying that, a high carb meal eaten 4 hours before bed can help you fall asleep faster. Depends on the person, depends on your regular diet, but try not to eat late in the evening, and if you are, watch where you're eating. Of course, relax and clear your mind in the evening. What's your nighttime routine? I find that having a nighttime routine, it gets your body used to this normal routine, right? I come home and you wash your face, brush your teeth, you get ready for bed, whatever you do, and your body's going to get used to that. It's going to know, okay, now it's time for sleep. Just do some relaxing techniques. If you have a significant other that can give you a massage, that's going to help you fall asleep. Simple things like that. Another thing is take a bath or a shower. It's a hot bath 90 minutes before bed improves your sleep quality. It can help you get into a deeper sleep faster. If you don't feel like taking a bath, just put your feet in warm water, and that can help just relax your body as well and help you get into a deeper sleep. And just be comfortable, optimize your environment, just really try to focus on your body's clock. I think that's the most important thing. Waking up and going to sleep at consistent times, having that nighttime routine, just kind of letting your body have that routine. It's going to help you fall asleep faster. It's going to help you get into that deep sleep and stay asleep. Sleep is so, so crucial to our happiness and to optimizing our entire life. So hope you take some of these tips and tricks and just information about the cycles of your sleep. And I hope it kind of encourages you to try these and get a better sleep quality, because it's going to improve so much. Your mood, just the things that you do during the day, your habits, everything. Getting a good night's sleep is so crucial. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, like and follow us on social media, and leave a 5-star review. It is always greatly appreciated, and I hope you get a really good night's sleep tonight. Till next time, thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows from the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.